When Momo is asleep, Turbo Granny comes out to play. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and here we are with Dan, episode 3. So, apparently this comes out on Thursdays. The first episode definitely came out on Friday. But I guess the second and third came out on, it came out on Thursdays. I guess it's just coming out on Thursdays now. Because I was not expecting to get to this today. Mind you, you're seeing this the next Wednesday. I'm posting this the day after I posted the episode 2 reaction. But yeah, I wasn't expecting to record this the day I'm recording this. And because of that, I wasn't prepared. I don't know, like, what I would be prepared for, but I mean, that's kind of the thing with this show. I guess you never know. I don't know what to expect from this next episode because we still haven't tackled the Turbo Granny issue. That's still a problem, as we saw at the end of the last episode. We haven't met Momo's grandma yet, and there's a lot of characters in the opening we've still to meet. So I don't know. But considering last episode did a lot of setup for Momo's grandma, I assume we're going to meet her this episode. And I assume she's going to help stop Turbo Granny from taking over Okaroon? Okaroon, that's it. I was trying to remember the nickname she gave him there because I just wanted to say Ken Takakura. I can't even get that name right when I'm trying to use it as an example. I keep wanting to say that, or just Ken for short, but it's like she technically refuses to let him call himself that, or to call him that herself. So Okaroon it is for now. Um, but yeah, I assume we're gonna help him and everything, and I don't know if we're gonna finish off Turbo Granny right now. Probably not, because we're supposed to wait till night, right? And then there's the possible other aliens and supernatural entities. Last time in episode 2, we got the Flatwoods monster, which is a real life folklore creature. So I'm wondering if a lot of these aliens and monsters are going to be based off of real life folklore. Turbo Granny is a real life myth, so it's very possible. I'm definitely very curious as to what they're going to do with that entire concept going forward. We also had some like really good animation last time that like used black and white to its advantage to give it this more interesting context and tone, which was beautifully balanced out by the red that appeared with Okaroon's transformation. So yeah, there's a lot of things I'm just really wondering what we're gonna do with at this point. This series is super fucking weird, and I kind of dig that because it's unashamedly weird. It's just not even trying to be anything more than that. And I just dig things that know what they are. I've been talking about this in a few things lately, I think. But I dig shows and movies and games and all that stuff that they know what they are, they know their lane, and they're not trying to be anything else. They're sticking to their concept pretty strongly. And that's all it needs to be, because that's where the entertainment comes from. And I like that this show, again, it's not trying to be like the next greatest anime, but it's probably going to end up being anime of the year for 2024 just on its own merit. In the same way that despite Terrifier 3 not trying to be any like Oscar winning film or anything, might actually win an Oscar and is being considered by a lot of people for movie of the year. Because of how exceptionally well received it is. and how exceptionally it did in theaters. It's the #1 movie in America. That's insane for an independent film like that. I've been talking about that in a few different reactions lately, though. Going into this, though, this series is just really hitting it on all cylinders. And where Uzumaki was a series that apparently a lot of people have become really disillusioned with and disappointed by, apparently even the people who made it, because they were apparently fucked over, from what I heard. This series, meanwhile, is just continuing to impress. People are just, like, constantly loving it. And so far, I am too. Now, if I remember correctly, the first 3 episodes were shown ahead of time in theaters or something. So, this is going to be the last episode for that initial theater run. Meaning that kind of speaks to me as saying that this might close out at least the stuff right now with Turbo Granny. This might, like, close out this opening arc of the series, and we might move on to something else after. That is kind of what that reads as to me. Because the fact that the first 3 episodes were, they did premiere together ahead of the official release in theaters and whatnot, that's kind of almost spoiling that the first 3 episodes are, like, more deeply connected than what's going to come after. You know? I don't know if that's for sure, though. That might just, like, you know, not be the case at all. We're just going to have to see. But I'm very excited to see what we get with this one. And hopefully it ends up being pretty exciting and really cool, just like the last one. Have a lot of great humor. And yeah, just I have high hopes for this series. But let us get this going and see what we have in store. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Well, there goes my thoughts, my expectation. As I mentioned in the pre-thoughts, I was thinking the first 3 episodes were probably going to, like, conclude this all with the Turbo Granny situation. And then next episode we would move on to a different arc. Because, like, you know, the first 3 episodes were shown in theaters together. And so I thought it's like, okay, you get, like, a preview for the show. And that does seem to be the case, but you could just kind of get the start of the series, the start of this arc, without seeing the conclusion. You get to see everything that leads up to that, without actually seeing how it ends. So, excuse me. So, likely, episode 4 will be the end of the arc. It'll conclude everything, and this just left you off waiting for that. Again, for outside of what we're going to get next, whatever that ends up being. Let's talk about Momo's grandmother here. Santa Dodoria, I guess, is her name. Why is she so fucking hot? Why is she so fucking hot? I mean, again, I said in the reaction, older people can be hot. Absolutely. Jamie Lee Curtis, amazing example of this. She's up there in terms of age. She's extremely attractive. Like, to this day, at her age. Halle Berry is surprisingly quite up there at this point. She's in her 50s. she still looks damn good. It's like she can very much be attractive in her 50s or 60s or whatnot. But she looks like 25 years old. I'm sorry. I saw her in the opening, like in episode one, and I'm looking at this like this lady like, oh, this is like some 25-year-old character, probably some kind of like badass oh, what's the word? I hate that. Troublemaker. Delinquent. That's the word. You see like delinquent characters in anime all the time, and it's like probably one of those types of characters, like just more badass, less, I don't know, Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. Not a goofy delinquent, but like a legitimate delinquent character, but who's also like, maybe has a heart of gold and is a good person and all. Instead, no, it's just her grandmother, and it's like, what? Like I can kind of hear it with like the laugh. She has kind of an old lady laugh, which is just completely like thrown off by the way she looks. Again, she has like this silver white hair. I thought that was just a fucking anime thing. Anime characters have silly hair. That doesn't. I've seen anime characters who are young who have white hair. That's not a signifier of age. It's a stylistic choice. I thought that's just what was going on there. Again, let's say that Momo's parents, were they around, would be around like 20 years older than her, right? If we're saying like Momo's about 15, then her parents would be about 35, right? Which means, let's say then her grandmother is 20 years older than that. This is low balling, of course, but just as an example, she would then be 55. And it's like, again, Halle Berry's in her 50s and looks damn fine still. But you can tell she's in her 50s still. Like, she looks older than she used to. It's not one of those weird cases where it's like, oh, this person doesn't look like they've aged. No, she looks like she's aged. If you've seen, apparently there's that new movie out, Don't Let Go or whatever, with her, and I've seen the trailer for that, and she looks like she's aged. She doesn't look like she's in her 20s or 30s anymore. Like, she looks like much older than, for example, than she did in X-Men. This is not like a case of like, I don't know, Paul Rudd is an example a lot of people go with. Paul Rudd, he even looks older than when he was in his 20s. It's like, but he just aged very well. And so did she, but you can still tell they're older. And Halle Berry looks like she would be in her 50s. I believe that. This, and I understand. I understand it's animation. It's, with animation, you have to very specifically make a character look old in order for them to seem old. But there are ways in animation to make a character look a certain age without like just making them look like a wrinkled raisin, basically. For example, Momo looks like she's a teenager. She doesn't look like she could be an adult. She doesn't look like she would be a preteen. She looks like a teenager. The way she's designed, the way her face is shaped, the way like her size is compared to other characters, etc. She looks like a teenager. Teenagers do have a like certain look compared to them, and there's always exceptions. I've known teenagers who look a lot older than they do, and I've known adults who look a lot younger than they are. There's always exceptions, but just for the most part. And the thing is, with a movie or a live action series or something, you really want actors who are going to look the age, because otherwise you get like a lot of the movies in like, I don't know, the 70s and 80s where you have like 35-year-old men playing teenagers, and it's just not believable in the slightest. Like, go back and watch Grease. and try to trick yourself into thinking that those are teenagers in any way, shape, or form. Not a single one of them looks like they're under 25. And that's honestly lowballing it for most of them. It's insane. But with animation, you really have to sell a character. And the characters have to look a certain way to really sell like who they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be like, their personality, their athleticism in certain aspects. And yeah, with animation you can also like break those rules at times for comedy or for just shock factor and stuff. But when every other character in this looks their age, and then you have her who just is like, again, would be like what, 55 years old if you're lowballing it? It's like you're trying to convince me that this lady is 55 years old. I could maybe believe she's in her early 30s. Not even mid 30s. Like, I'm saying like 32 or younger. She looks like she'd be anywhere between 25 and 32. I don't see this design and have any semblance of belief that this is a 55-year-old woman or older. And the thing is, the first time we see her in the flashback, we only see her from the back. She's not as much taller than Momo in those flashbacks than she appears to be here, for one. She's wearing more of a classic, like, robe, so you can't really tell, like, her body shape or anything. But she has, like, normal grandma hair and everything, and from what you can tell, everything seems to be like, oh, this is your average grandmother. And I understand that's the point. I get what this is doing. I understand that. This is supposed to be a surprise. This is supposed to catch you off guard. Because she doesn't look like she could be a grandmother. It even points it out in the episode, and I'm sure it does in the manga as well. Like, Okarun specifically says, your grandma is so young. She actively looks young. And I don't know if that's just some kind of, like, just gag that's going to be repeated throughout this. I don't know if it's a case of, like, she actually is using spiritual powers to make herself look young. I don't know if there's some other explanation. But that is kind of the joke it's going for here, that she looks extremely young for her age. I get that. And I'm okay with an older character being a badass and being, like, you know, really cool and everything. But it's like, it's just the age thing threw me so off guard. Because, like I said in the reaction, when I first saw the opening, and every time I've seen it since, and I've seen it a lot since, by the way, it never once crossed my mind that this was going to be the grandmother. I just never even, like, thought about it. I honestly didn't think the grandmother was going to be much of a character. I thought she was going to, like, come in, maybe encourage Momo, and they were going to, like, go off and do their own thing most of the time. Apparently she is going to be a notable character considering how prevalent in the opening she is. But it's just not at all what I expected. And I mean, here's the thing. Like, outside of just the fact that I find her extremely hot. Like, I mean, I thought that, like, even before I knew who she was. Like, I thought that from the opening. And mind you, I was not expecting the jiggle physics in this when they were running and everything. It's like, oh, all right. I already knew, like, this character was hot and everything. But her personality, her fighting style, the fact that her bat turns into a giant pencil, I'm kind of into it. I don't. I mean, it again more than just attractiveness. It's like she kind of does it for me, not just in attractiveness, but in like character wise. Like there's certain points where it's like, oh, you'll have a character who I don't entirely understand why I like as much as I do, but I really fucking like them. Like I just key into them almost instantly, and I am just entirely sold really fucking quick. Occasionally that happens. One example I can give is from My Hero Academia, actually, with Sue. I was a huge fan of Sue, like, instant I saw her. This frog girl who's goofy and silly, but, like, is super kind and funny and everything, too. It's, like, instantly a fan. And you want to know what happened when I, like, said she was my favorite character so far? Like, pretty much beginning of the series when that first started airing with the anime back in, like, what was it, 2016? I had a person on Facebook, on a group I was in, literally tell me, because I mentioned I'm an anime only, literally tell me I'm lying and that I could never be a fan of her without knowing what is revealed or done with her in the future in the manga. That if I were an anime only, I would not be a fan of hers. That it makes no sense to be. Which is a wild statement, by the way, a wildly ridiculous statement. But it does get me wondering. It's like, how many other characters have I just, like, instantly gravitated towards that other people wouldn't? It genuinely makes me curious. Like, what other characters out there? Like, and you guys, maybe you guys can tell me. Tell me in the comments below. Are there any characters you've seen me react this way towards in any anime, cartoon, movie, game, etc. that I've done here on the channel that you were surprised that I liked as quickly as I did? Genuinely, I would love to know. Because this is definitely the case here, and I'm very much noticing it this time. Because I could not tell you, like, I mean, I can tell you, like, things I like about what was going on there, but it was also so exceptionally sudden, and I was so thrown off by the age thing as well, that it just feels like I don't entirely know how to explain why I love her so much. But she's my favorite character now. At least as of now. And again, I can tell you I love the way her fighting style is. With the barrier circles and the bat that turns into a giant pencil and stuff. It's like, that's fucking hilarious. Her personality, the fact that she has a very stereotypical, like, old lady laugh. It's like, I can tell you things I like about her. But I cannot explain to you why she's just so instantly, like, my favorite character. Why it just clicked for me so quickly. And in the midst of having this confusion attack with her age and everything, and the fact that she's Momo's grandmother, it's like all of this is happening while I'm also thrown the fuck off to such a degree that I'm, like, stuttering over my words and can't figure out what to say or how to think or anything. I feel like I might have even missed a couple things in this episode. I mean, I always watch these many times, but I've seen the first couple episodes quite a lot at this point. So I'm going to see this one a lot more too, but I just, like, I feel like I was so focused on that there's probably a few things that I missed in terms of dialogue and stuff, a few things that I didn't quite grasp as much as I should have. But yeah, that just threw me off so drastically. On top of that, so she can't get directly involved, but is helping them. They have to master their powers, but unfortunately Turbo Granny's refusing to give them the time, even threatening to kill Momo's grandmother and Okarun if they try to delay it. And so, of course, they can't delay it. But it's like we're also seeing like kind of the beginnings of this training and exactly what they need to train in and stuff, like Okarun training his body and endurance and stuff, Momo training how to use her psychic powers. And we actually find out more about it here. We find out that she can see the auras of everything around her, not just people, but these objects like rocks and twigs and stuff too. And that she can kind of manipulate them using these like psychic hands. And that the way she keeps his curse at bay is by using these psychic hands to basically capture the Turbo Granny presence around him and to like hold it in, basically. It's actually really interesting. But she can only do it if she has eye contact. She has to be able to see his aura. And I guess Turbo Granny's aura. But according to the grandmother, she should be able to do it without having to see it. And she even tells her, close your eyes, try to feel the aura, use your other senses. And it's like, okay, that's very interesting. But it also reminds me of a really silly part of Hunter x Hunter. Do you remember where it explained in Hunter x Hunter, if you've seen the series? It explains how Karapika learned to summon chains with his Nen, and he mentions that he had to, like, touch, taste, smell, just be around chains constantly. And it just reminded me of that. It's like rely on your other senses, Momo. Sniff his aura, lick his aura, and it's like, oh my god, this is getting weird. I was literally thinking that as this was going on, and I'm almost glad I didn't verbalize it at the moment, but I'm also like having to verbalize it now just to explain my thoughts here. And it's just like, where does my mind go? And it wasn't in like any kind of weird or creepy way or anything. It was just like I just literally thought of the scene from Hunter x Hunter. It just because of the wording of it or something, or just the concept of like using your other senses and all. It's just like, what the hell? Weird as fuck, but okay. We see that we see through this that this obviously causes a lot of problems because, like, for example, he can't use the bathroom because of walls and doors blocking. She has to basically be watching him to some degree. And so they really need to fix this curse fast. And so at the end, when they're basically forced to, like, they have to go when, let's be honest, they're not ready. And so Grandma, like, suits them up, like, with all of this protective clothing and whatnot. She also hugs Momo and wishes her safety because she's so scared for her because she loves her so much. And she even prays to the gods when they're leaving that they protect these two, both of them. Because she can very much tell that Momo has feelings for Okarun. Because it's very obvious, and it was obvious at the end of the first episode. Like, she literally had a Doki Doki heartbeat moment. But she doesn't fully grasp that yet, because she doesn't believe she could be in love with someone like him. Like, she'll be friends with him, but she believes she's still holding her heart out for a Ken Takakura type. What she's refusing to see is that she's holding that her heart is reaching out for a literal Ken Takakura, who she just refuses to believe is Ken Takakura because she doesn't believe that someone like him would have the same name as the movie star she loves so much, who's very different in personality. So yeah, it's really funny in that regard. But Grandma can very blatantly see it. She can dramatically see how close they are. And so when she prays at the end for both of them to be safe, it shows not only how much she loves her granddaughter, but how much she wants her to be happy. Because she sees the potential for true happiness with this relationship. And that's awesome. And another reason to like her. Another reason to like this character. So it's like, it's pretty wild to me how this show can throw you for a loop in different ways. Because it's like, one moment it'll be throwing you for a loop with just out of pocket nonsense. And the next moment it'll just have a reveal that's unexpected, but is like so unexpected that it completely shocks your system. And you just don't know how to process the information. But it's two very entirely different kinds of surprise. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention. So, with the entire thing about like the aura surrounding everyone and everything, this kind of brings me back to a question I had during the last episode about is she using her powers to protect herself when she's getting like thrown against the wall by the Flatwoods monster and everything? And this episode kind of implies that that was the case. She was probably protecting her aura using the psychic hands in some way. But I want to bring this up real quick. I don't remember who you were, but someone in the comments mentioned you mentioned that in the future of the manga it does talk about this, and it does reveal that she is using her powers to protect her, like I said. Because I had can't come up with that thought in the afterthoughts of watching episode 2. I brought that up as a possibility. I said that from what we can tell, that's got to be what's happening. But that was just basically a theory. And you kind of spoiled me to confirm that. Now, I know that's not like as big a deal as like spoiling me on plot relevant details and all. And I'm not like angry at you for this. I want to make that very clear. But please just try to be careful about stuff like that in the future. I do want to go into not only this show, but everything I react to as blind as I possibly can. There's some things that I, do find out some stuff about here and there. And if I find that out accidentally, that's one thing. Because I sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes it just happens. I just end up accidentally seeing something, scrolling through Twitter or something. But I don't want someone to tell me, like to actively tell me something like that. Because again, from my perspective, that was just a theory I was having. And nothing was confirmed, but you literally confirmed for me that that is explained in the future of the series. I didn't necessarily want that confirmed. I didn't want that confirmed until the show confirmed it for me. Because I'm telling you now, just as a note, I don't read manga. For anyone who might be new watching this, who might not have seen me talk about this on the channel before, it's a personal thing. I don't like manga as a medium. It doesn't do anything emotionally for me. I don't feel anything reading a manga. I can't explain it. Not going to go into everything here, but the point is, reading a manga elicits no emotion from me. It elicits no reaction, and I just don't enjoy it because of that. So I'm gonna be anime only for Dan to Dan the entire time. This season and any future seasons. So I don't want spoilers for the future of what happens within the manga. Even if it's something as minuscule as this. And again, this is super minor. As you pointed out in the comments, I did already kind of say that. I did kind of figure it out myself. But again, it was kind of just a theory for me at that point. Until you confirmed it. And this episode would have definitely made me feel more, like, assured of that theory. But it still would have been a theory. Because technically it still wasn't confirmed. So like I said, just please try to be careful from here on out. Don't spoil me on like if any of my theories or any of my thoughts or anything are correct or not. I don't want to know ahead of time. I would rather continue watching, and then when it comes up in the series, when they like confirm or deny it, I'd rather be like, oh, I remember I thought about that. I theorized about that. Apparently, I was wrong. Apparently, it's not that. Or apparently, I was right. Awesome. I got something right. I would rather find that out naturally. You know what I mean? One way or the other. But again, I'm not like angry at you for this. It's a super minor thing comparatively. You didn't spoil any major plot details for me, unless that is a major plot detail. But I wouldn't think it would be. Um, so like I said, I'm not angry. I'm not even really that like upset. I just wanted to bring it up because this episode did kind of like hint at that being the case with how her powers seemingly work. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up real quick. I'm not going to call you out by name or anything. But yeah, if you want to um, comment about it or whatnot, feel free. But just in the future, just be a little more cautious. That's all I'm saying. I'd love to continue getting your comments regarding my thoughts and everything on the episodes I'm reacting to and what came before it, though. And I hope you're enjoying the reactions. I really am. But that all being said, sorry for the lighting. It's that time of day and everything when I'm recording this. Unfortunately, couldn't help that. So yeah, the lighting is going to be kind of fucked here. But thank you all anyways so much for tuning in. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. Just again, no spoilers. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.